Today's episode is brought to you by Gray Block Pizza. Gray Block Pizza is a fanatical, or fantastic, that's what I meant. I picked the wrong F. It's a fantastical, there we go, let's teamwork, baby. It's a fantastical pizza place. Pizza is something that's round, but people cut it in a different shape to enjoy it. And just knowing the fact that something goes through two different shapes before it hits your mouth, I mean, it's a real shape-shifting type of treat. And that is Gray Block Pizza. Thank you guys for being here with me today. I got this. You hear that? I got a sack of bells from home. Somebody sent me this. You know, when I was growing up, we grew up by Larson's. It was Jingle Bell Outlet. And I think they had a sign out front. It used to put up a counter of how many jingle bells they'd made over the years. You know, and I swear to God, I think at one point it got up to, you know, I want to say almost 90,000 JBs had rolled out of that joint. And that's only because the person putting the sign and adjusting the number, they just fucking gave up. Or they were afflicted with uneducation or miseducation or bad math. You know, if somebody has bad math, they can only do so much. You know, if somebody has bad math, once you get past, 12 or 13 items, they don't know what the hell's going on. But this person, it was like a Burger King. They used to have a sign at Burger King where every time they'd, sell a burger, they'd put another one outside, over, 70,000 served or whatever. And Larson's, this Jingle Bell Outlet right next to us. They had, I think, served over 70,000 or something or whatever they had done. And then the sign maker fucking gave up, or who knows what happened to them. I mean, that's a lot of math for somebody, a local person to do when you get up over 70,000 and especially to count the bells and know how many bells were made. That man was really the Frederick Douglass of our area in a lot of ways. But this is a sack. Somebody sent me a sack of those beautiful old Larson's bells right there. And the fun thing about growing up, but next to the outlet, you'd be outside, you'd fall in a hole or something outside, and next thing you'd hear this. Because the hole would be filled with jingle bell. And so sometime you fall down, you fall on a couple bells, and you think you're about to hurt yourself, but you get a little of that. So it's kind of fascinating when you have the magic of jingle bells around, all types of things can occur. We had a neighbor, and this is a little bit sad, but he shot himself in the face on accident. And most people do. There's two types of people. Sorry. Email's open. I've noticed there's two types of people in the universe. There are people that shoot themselves in the face purposefully, and people that shoot themselves in the face on accident. And what had happened was he was looking in a lot of families, if they have Christmas gifts, they hide them in the closet. And he was in there looking for them, right? Well, they had a shotgun in there. And the shotgun the barrel was facing up, right? Well, a jingle bell had rolled off one of the shelves from the Christmas gifts into that shotgun. So anyhow, he's in there looking for something. He sets off the shotgun. It fires a JB right up into his cheek. So he had a jingle bell lodged in his cheek as long as I knew him, and they called him Tink, actually. And decent guy. I'll say this, kind of an asshole, really. But the thing was, the one redeeming quality he had about himself was every now and then, even though he'd be pissed off at you or he'd be furious, sometime you'd get a little bit of that out of him even when he was angry, and it would set you at peace. There's something powerful about hearing a jingle bell. You know, there's something really, really, I think, powerful about it. Something powerful about hearing a jingle bell, isn't there? And this is one time a year when, you know, you can use a jingle bell and it's not creepy, really. It's not, you're not a bad guy if you roll up somewhere with a couple of jingle bells rocking. Happy December to you. And to myself as well. I'll say that today is Monday, December 10th. This episode is up later than usual. I took some time off yesterday. You know, I was tired. I was tired. And I'm not tired at the moment, and I'm grateful to be here with you guys today. I got back from Lexington, Kentucky, and I have this shirt on right here, and it says straight out of Lexington. And who gave me this shirt was my friend Jared Lorenzen, and he's a quarterback, or he was, for the Kentucky Wildcats about 15 years ago. And he's probably 6 feet tall, 5 feet wide. Someone said they had to put 3 belts on him if he wanted to keep his pants up. Otherwise, they said sometime he would have people stand around him and walk next to him and secretly kind of hold his pants up on each side. Because he was that, he was a universal type figure. He's the kind of guy, he's just so, he was a universe of his own. You wouldn't be shocked if maybe you were talking to Jared Lorenzen and you saw a moon over off the side of him, or a satellite hanging around his neck. Because he really was just that robust, You wouldn't be surprised if you look around, you wander around back of him and they had a Big Dipper back there. And I'm not talking about a spare cock or nothing like that. I'm talking about, a constellation. He was just that. He was an orbit of his own. And that's Jared Lorenzen. But he gave me this shirt last time I was in Lexington. And a sweet man. And then this time I went, and we had a great time. It was just, you get there, you get to Kentucky, and it's, they got hills and they got good food. Man, I stayed in a castle. They have a place there called the Kentucky Castle. And one of the owners is a podcast listener. This gentleman, Jacob, and his wife. And, man, they reached out and said, hey, man, we love the podcast. We'd love for you to check out the Kentucky Castle when you come to town. And it was nice, man. And I got to meet with them, and we had some food. And man, they got the best food over there. And this isn't an advertisement for that castle or anything. I mean, if the place, if I'd have gotten bit by a bat or something like that, I'll let you know. But I didn't do nothing like that. And we just had a nice time. The best food I've had in a long time. And the castle, you go in there, it's like a damn castle. You wouldn't be surprised if, they got somebody outside has the plague or something. Or, part of me wanted to stay up all night fighting off the neighbors with a bow and arrow. It's that kind of joint. It's a real deal. And it was nice to stay. And the history of the castle was this. A long time ago, they had a man who was in love with a woman. And you know how that goes, man. Being in love with somebody can just, it can reorganize the way your brain acts. It can renegotiate the highways of thought inside of you. Being in love with somebody will it can really create like a violent relationship between your own heart and brain. My heart and my brain don't really team up that much unless love is involved, I find. Whether that's love with someone else or love for something. Most of the day, I find, this is just me, I'm wandering about the world, and, when I'm just doing things, I'm reacting, and I'm acting, and I'm thinking, making choices. But then sometimes something will occur that usually it involves another person, and you get love involved in you. And that's when my brain and my heart have to team up, and then they make choices together. And sometimes they make good choices. Sometimes they make scared choices. But it's usually some type of love will make those link up. And that's kind of interesting. But yeah, the castle was a great spot. It was fun. It was a unique experience. What else happened over there? It was just good, man. I got delayed on the way in. I sat next to, now Kentucky's got some real, I mentioned Jared Lorenzen is a big gentleman, the quarterback. Other people who are not quarterbacks, who are just regular humans, can be damn Ariana Grande. You know what I'm saying? This dude, I sat on next to the plane, next to a guy. This dude, largest dude I ever seen. When he sat in the seat, the whole rest of his body came up around his head. So he was just kind of punxsutawney filling inside of himself. The lady, when she came by with the peanuts, she just set a couple of them up on the ridge where his head, his hair was just kind of poking out of the top of him. Because the seat pushed his body up so high, it just encompassed the whole sides of his head and neck. So you had to kind of look over the edges of his shoulders to even see the top of his head. He was down inside of himself. And I checked on him a couple times, make sure he was, living. But, and she set a couple peanuts up on the ridge of him so he could fire his tongue out and grab him. This guy weighed, no, I'm not joking. I'm not making fun of him. This guy weighed 600 pounds. I got a couple pictures. He didn't know, but I got a couple pictures with him in case, something happens to him. He looked like he was just trapped inside of himself. Like if he knew a couple passwords or something, he could get out of himself. It looked like he wanted somebody to break in there and free him. But a large man. And he also, look, I'll say this, he had a sense of humor about it. The lady came down the aisle, the flight attendant, and she said, can I get you something to drink? He's like, I'll take a beer. And then he goes, can I have it in the can? And she goes, you can have it in a cup. And then he goes, can I have it in a cone? And I think he was joking, but I'm not really sure. But I'll be damned if that dude, 9 minutes later, he ain't he ain't having half of a Guinness out of a damn waffle cone. And that's when your weight is getting a hold of you. When you were drinking beer out of a sugar cone or waffle cone. If you find yourself putting sprinkles on a Michelob Ultra, then you probably have maybe dietary issues. But I'm happy to be here today with you guys. And Merry Christmas to you, man. Let me give you that. Dude, imagine if your nuts had jingle bells in there. Can you imagine that, bro? You roll up on a couple ladies, and then you're talking to one of them. She doesn't know if you're interested, and then you flex your nuts a little, and you hear that. Moist is the choice after that for the ladies. You know what I'm saying? Wow, man. That's, if you had, dude, the girls would know what's up. The girls would know what's up. But Kentucky was great. A lot of people came out. Who came out? I met a couple had the same name, Joel. They had a man named Joel, and his wife was also named Joel. And I just said, well, Joel to the world, bruh. Good luck out there. Because I can't believe they found each other. But I also kind of can believe they found each other, because if you introduce yourself to somebody, your name is Joel, which isn't, it's a nice name, but it's not a real name. Really, that name is Joel. That's like somebody, if their name is Ronald, and they say, my name is Ro in Ald. And you're like, what is your name? And they're like, it's Ro in Ald. I'm like, you mean fucking Ronald? That's Ronald, bro. But these people, Joel. And I guess after a while, if you introduce yourself to somebody, you say, hey, I'm Joel. They're like, oh, you mean Joel? And you're like, no, Joel. And they're like, oh, well, that's crazy, because there's another crazy person who doesn't know how letters work super greatly. And they also live, over that hillside. And then, of course, you'd go meet that person. But we had two people with the rare same name come out. Who else? A fella named Bent came out. They had a family. And they had a family member in a wheelchair. And wheelchairs, man, a lot of people, you see them, some people just lazy. Some people have a handicaps. And I remember when I first saw a wheelchair, I thought, wow, this is it. This is the future. Because you could be having dinner and then be in a living room, without having to really move a muscle. And I thought that was pretty brilliant. But you see these people in these, in a wheelchair. They had a fella named Bent, they said. His name was Bent. And which is ironic, because he had a scoliosis that really got him. And he had scoliosis and double scoliosis. This dude, he really had just a game of Jenga going on inside of his backbone. And he had, you couldn't even, he was wild, man. He was wild, and you saw him and he just seemed like he was doing a lot, even though he wasn't doing much. But who else came out? Somebody brought me a muffin. I remember that. And it was warm. It was warm. And if somebody pull a warm muffin, first of all, somebody pull a muffin out of their coat. And I've done some stuff, You know what I'm saying? I've touched a titty that I couldn't see with my own eyes. I touched the first breast I ever touched through a electric fence. And we were both children. She was only probably maybe 11 or 9 or something. And I was only, maybe 10. So it wasn't really a breast yet, but it was going to be a tit. Still counts. So, but that was electric fence. And that is, never have I felt the Lord and the devil looking at me at the same time. When you're reaching for a breast, the Lord's little, just milk dud. And at the same time, the electricity of the devil is just whirling all around your arm. But that girl's name was June, was her name, named after the month. And goddamn, man, it didn't take me 30 days to touch that titty. I'll tell you that. Did it quickly. But yeah, somebody brought me a muffin. It was a warm muffin. That's what got me. Somebody pull a muffin out of a coat, set it in your hand. If it's cold, it's not as much of an adventure. But that warm muffin, that thing hit my hand. It was fucking warm. And I mean really warm. I'm not talking body heat. Like if you give me a muffin, you've had it in your coat. And that bitch is just body, that bitch is 98.6, bro. I'm just thinking, damn, this just kind of a, This is a muffin that's just been body heated up. That's kind of gross for me. Some people, some families you'll see, they got a chubby uncle with a fever and he got his shirt off and they keeping muffins warm on his back. Because somebody to have a fever, they'll keep a muffin at probably 101 or 102. And damn, that is, I don't know if you've ever had a fever warmed muffin, but god bang, melts right off the damn bone, brother. So, but yeah, this man must have had a fever or something going on, maybe an infection, because this thing was coming in warmer than regular body temperature, and I appreciated that. Somebody pull out a warm muffin and handed me that. Somebody gave me a Snicker. A lot of people came for pictures with the strap. That might be the last tour of the strap. We'll see. Might not be. We'll see. But it was great, man. It was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun in the club. The staff and everybody really brought in a lot of joy. Ari Manis came, the feature. We did a Get the Cash. We hid some cash in the Castle Hotel room. And helped a young cleaning lady, make some extra money. We'll put that up soon. And we just did some neat stuff. And I want to thank our Patreoners and just thank you guys. It's been a long year. It's been a long year, man. I was thinking about actually maybe toning down some of the guest episodes and just doing more, I don't know. I like doing them. I just want to, sometimes when I do the guest episodes, I feel like I have to be, I don't know, I guess I feel like I have to pretend to be like a smart person or something, or I just have to pretend that, not pretend, but I don't know, I just have to, I have to be so present. And sometimes I don't like being super present. And I think some of that even probably more I think about it, like, some of it probably goes back to just, being young and I didn't enjoy the world as much. And so if I was present, it was more painful. Whereas if I could be more in my, just sit inside of the safety of my own brain or something like that, or inside of myself, then it felt more comfortable. But we'll see, man. I'm just figuring it out because I like being able to just be more comfortable on these episodes and not feel like and sometimes with the guests, I don't know, but we might experiment with some stuff. I want to be brave enough to make changes as I go, even when things are going good. Because I want to be able to take care of myself and feel healthy. And it's been a lot, man, it's been a wild year. It's been a busy, busy year. But what else, man? We got, I'll tell you some new tour dates we got coming up. I'll tell you also, we have a sale going on the website. It's 10% off everything at theovon.com. And we have a new Rat King shirt that'll go up later this week. But we have shows coming up. The Omaha Funny Bone, January 11th and 12th, Omaha, Nebraska. January 18th, 19th, and 20th, Irvine Improv. Addison, Texas, January 25th and 26th. And I was just there on Thursday. I stopped in Dallas and did one night there. And thank you to everybody that came out. Just a lot of beautiful souls. People drove in from different places, and I met a young lady who was Nicaraguan. She came out. Who else? We had a young lady that made me some artwork, tour artwork. Lindsay, I think was her name. She came out and reminded me that I forgot to pay her, or she didn't remind me, but the second I saw her, I was like, oh. So got settled up with her. So I'm grateful that I got to see her. And just good people. People came out a lot of joy. That show was a little stressful, just because you travel, you get right there and you go up, and, I've just been feeling a little rattled, but that's okay. Operation Feeling Good is what's going to go on now. Addison Improv, I'll be back there, though, January 25th, 26th. Columbus, Ohio, February 8th and 9th. Houston Improv, February 22nd and 23rd. And then I'll be at the Wilbur in Boston and the Borgata Hotel and Casino. Those are March 8th and March 9th as well. I'm not ready to announce it yet, but we got a couple of other continents that we might be hitting. So a lot of exciting stuff. And I'm grateful, man. It's, I get to live out my dreams. I mean, that's crazy to think that, isn't it? It's crazy to think that I get to live some of my dreams out. And, I think about long-term stuff and somehow through this podcast, we're going to help other people live out some of their dreams as well. I don't know how we're going to do it. But some of it, I'm just going to let it happen organically instead of trying to push. And, for me, it's hard to let go and just let the world kind of occur sometimes. Because I'm afraid if I do that it won't take care of me sometimes. Part of me just doesn't trust the world in certain ways, I think. But anyhow, that's what's going on. Those are those dates. We got some calls that came in. Dude, speaking of Kentucky teacher arrested for sending nude pictures to former student. A middle school teacher in West Virginia, Ramsey was her name. I mean, come on, dude. If I had a hot teacher named Ramsey? Look, there's some names, that's like if you had a teacher named, Miss Fuckington. Dude, there's no way. And if she's hot, there's no way I ain't gonna, all the artwork we do in class, I'm gonna have secret hidden pictures of my dick in the artwork. They're going to call me Walt Dixney. You feel me? I'm hiding dicks and everything. It could even just be a picture of like an orange we're drawing, the first picture ever in Miss Fuckington's art class. And I'm hiding a little dick behind the orange. Be like, damn, that orange has a big thick stem on it. Like, oh, that's a dick, Miss Fuckington. But some names, it's, you can't have certain names and not expect certain thing to happen to you. If your name is, Donnie Cement and people throwing fucking Quikrete and sacks of Quikrete in your house and shit while you're trying to sleep. Well, that's what you get. If your name is, Larry Raven. Oh, that's Larry Raven up there. He worked at the Ramada. Or he used to, before he got shot. But if you're named Larry Raven and people always, hiding crows and dark birds in your car, and I'm not talking about black girls, I'm talking about dark birds, okay? If people always hiding dark birds in your car, you can't be upset. If your name is, Cynthia Yogurt and people's, dripping a little bit of Dannon on your back and stuff at the ball game, who you going to be mad at, Cynthia? The person behind you with a couple pints at 2%? Or your parents for having a baby knowing the last name going to be Yogurt? I think it's the latter. But what do I know? What do I know? And I think maybe that's one thing I realize about doing the interviews I don't enjoy sometimes is I feel like I have to know stuff. And maybe that's just a pressure I put on myself. But this is all a learning experience, and I'm learning as I'm going. And I'm just so grateful to be here today with you guys. But yet, the teacher in Kentucky, Ramsey, former Miss Kentucky pageant winner, sent the photos to former student. She's been suspended. And I'm wondering why this stuff is happening. Like I get a male teacher being attracted to female students. Some of that, there's a nature in there. There's a lot of predators. Chris Hansen is on This Week episode. And a lot of predators And predator is just somebody that sees something and wants it. And the part of them that says, nah, you probably shouldn't have it. They tell that part to go, shut the fuck up. And they keep going. A lot of predators are men, because that's in our nature. If you watch the Nature Channel, it's usually, man animals is killing others. They don't really have Snapped, the animals season, even though they should. I'd like to see Snapped. It's like a couple female pandas with a little fucking, with a little 22 or something. Or a female panda just pulling out a damn little 6-shooter and popping off over there at the zoo. Gunning down a couple of meerkats or something. What else? The holidays. I'm going to go home to Louisiana. I'm excited about that. I'll be there in New Orleans. That show's been sold out. That middle school teacher, why does that happen now more? When I was in middle school, I remember we had one teacher. I was the little dude who would try. All the teachers I thought was hot. My buddies would always be like, oh, did you see, Miss Garfala? They had a rumor going around when I was young. They said one of the teachers had 3 breasts. So, we was really up in arms about that. And when I say up in arms, it means we had both our arms up like this, and then we were sprung in the middle. That's all. That's 3 arms. Because your dick is just an arm that has, semen deep in the back of it. And we, when you hear that a teacher have 3 breasts, you're excited about it. You're fired up. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, I'm Nicolas Cage in, A Time to Kill or whatever, art history or something, where they're finding the treasure. And so you're curious. But I was so desperate for that female affection. Well, I'd be up there. They have a 75-year-old teacher. Miss Rapp, or I think we had a lady, Miss Rapp, or one lady, I think Miss Fart was her name. Phart. And she wanted us to, respect the name. And I'm like, oh, we are 12 years old. Ms. Fart. So, but I thought she was fine as fuck. My buddies would be like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not here, I'd be writing love letters in the dirt in the schoolyard. And she'd walk up, Miss Fart would just kind of blow on up through the breeze and just, what's going on here? And I'd like rub it all off my foot and just, erase all the message on my foot. Oh, nothing. Miss Fart, just, just looking for treasure, or something. Just writing a message for help in case a plane goes by, just practicing in case I'm ever like in a avalanche or something. I'll do stuff like that. But I loved any of the teachers, man. Busted looking. All of them. I loved all of them, man. I just had that affection. But we didn't have that hot teacher. What do you think it is out there in the universe today that's making these hot teachers send the pictures to the children? Like that's a question I have. And I'd love for you guys to hit the hotline 985-664-9503. And let me, what is it? Is it that these women, they still want to be young? Because this used to be a male thing that was happening. We had a teacher, he got popped, Everybody did. Remember about 20 years ago, every school had a dude that got popped. A janitor, every assistant coach. If you were assistant coach, dude, you was touching somebody's ass and you got busted. They didn't... These dudes was all perverts. We had a whole, they had, everybody had these perverts running the shows back then. But I wonder if now that women are becoming more like men in some places, or feeling pressured more to behave like men, if they're doing that. If they're like engaging with the young boys, if it's a power thing, or the boys feeling more motivated and they're starting this. And the women are just unable to reject some of these shy of young advances. Because some of these young dudes, they, 14 years old, they got a little bit of slickner in their hair. And they got a little bit of, they putting cologne in their hair in the back. And they doing, they'll have a buddy. They might not smoke, but they might have a friend, blow a little bit of mild smoke on them. And that smoke, if you go by a lady and they smell that smoke on a child, they think, oh, he's been in a fire or he's kind of sexy. Because, dude, you put a little bit of mild smoke on a 14, 15-year-old, bro, come on. I mean, that's going to really, that temptation factor goes up. But what do you think it is? What do you guys think's going on in the world that this kind of stuff is happening? Now, I know the news is just reporting it more. And I know the news, especially if it's a white kind of thing going on, if it's a white teacher, white student, then they're definitely reporting that. Because I strongly believe that the media has some severe issues, wants to make white people look the worst. Even though most of the media is owned by white people. So it's a really tricky deal going on. And I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong about that, but sometimes I do feel that way. But what do you think's going on? Why is that happening? Why is that happening, man? Because if I'm sitting in class and a hot teacher, look, man, if I'm a kid, the first thing I'm going to want to do is hook up with her. I'm also then probably going to be scared. I might be scared because you might think, well, what if she gets pregnant? What's going on? She has a family. And you're going to tell your friends. If you're 15 years old, and you got pictures of the teacher's tots, you showing those to the friends. That's going to happen first thing. I ain't trading baseball cards, you know what I'm saying? I got a picture of Miss Fart's tats, bruh. I got a picture of Miss Fart's tarts. You feel me? But I wonder what it is, man. If you have some thoughts, hit the hotline on why that's happening so much now. Is there something going on in the world? Is it just a, free-for-all? 985-664-9503. One other news thing that happened, Nick Cannon came to the aid of Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart got reprimanded. He got asked to MC one of these award shows that, it's, they give awards to, it's companies that give awards to actors that they own, basically, a lot of times. So you'll see, it's like, oh, the Academy, but it's all tied in together and it's all owned by the same companies or supported by the same company. So it's all a bunch of bullshit a lot of times. It's a lot of rich people awarding other rich people, I find. But I also could be angry because they've never given me nothing. But now Kevin Hart, what he did was he got asked to host this awards, Oscars, and then they went through his tweets and said, well, he said homophobic stuff in the past, and now he needs to apologize for it. And he told him to fuck off, basically. He did, but then he did apologize, but also told him to fuck off, that he didn't want to do it. And I commend him. I commend him for that. I don't think if 5 or 6 people on Twitter get angry about something, then that should justify everyone. And the more that kind of stuff keeps happening and that the media really caters to those small voices just to create controversy, the more you're making the masses angry, I think, because their voices aren't heard. Not only not heard, but not respected. And so Nick Cannon came to his aid and made fun of other, retweeted old things that other people had tweeted in the past, called out Amy Schumer, Sarah Silverman, and Chelsea Handler, 3 Jewish comedians that were, I guess, have been allowed to host shows, even though that they called people fags in past tweets. And good for him, man. Good for somebody to be able to say something. I think you need a black guy to say something. I think if a white guy brings this up, they wouldn't even let this be an article. So I'm happy that, that people are standing up for their friends in the industry, and that finally people are saying, oh, well, it's interesting that these 3 white women can behave a certain way, but this man doesn't have some of the same freedoms. So good for Kevin. good for Kevin, man. It's not fair that, you have a lot of these, and all three of these women condescending, these are all women who, to me, make fun of the rest of America and look down upon those people who are less fortunate than them and believe they can tell people how to vote and how to behave just because they have money. A lot of extreme white privilege with these women. So good for them. Good for those guys standing up against basically what's not, you want equality, you got to treat people equal. And fuck these boring ass Oscar. Who gives a shit? Half the movies they pick always suck dick anyway. Dunkirk's the only good movie I've seen in the past 5 years. But anyhow, that's just my thoughts, and I could be totally wrong. But let's get into some calls, man. First, I also want to tell you, if you own a business or if you are thinking about starting one, this course is 100% absolutely for you. It's the Smart Setup Guide, Business Building 101. And the gentleman there's a gentleman named Martin O'Neill who helps me out with a lot of our stuff here at this past weekend. And he has now a course. It's easy to understand. It's easy to implement online video course that breaks down need-to-know information that will save you massive amounts of time, money, and energy building your business. And I cannot support this guy enough. The way he has it set up, it's acute, it's effective. If you want to take a business you currently have and get it to the next level online and have it become profitable, this is how you do it. Or if you have a family member, they're starting a small business, this course will be great for them. In just 2.5 hours, you will develop a pro-level understanding of how logo design and brand identity can make or break your business, the best way to build your website and online store, how to outrank your competition on Google, social media marketing, how to secure new clients and maintain them long term. The course is created by Marty O'Neill, owner of Drastic Graphics, who has over a decade's worth of experience working with some of the biggest brands and performers in the world. For the month of December, you can get a 30% discount. Visit smartsetupguide.com and use coupon code Theo at checkout. That is smartsetupguide.com and use coupon code Theo, Theo, at checkout. And the Smart Setup Guide, Business Building 101, it's effective. This is a real thing. It's definitely effective. And Martin cares. He cares about helping young people. He's straight out of Buffalo, hardworking dude, 700% Irish. He cares about helping young people achieve their next step, and this is a way to do it. So check that out. As well, Skillshare is an online learning platform with over 20,000 classes in business, design, technology, and more. You can take classes in social media marketing, data science, mobile photography, creative writing, you name it. Some of the classes that this past weekend listeners have signed up for include how to make Android apps with no programming experience, say hello to After Effects, and trap music production. Whether you're trying to deepen your professional skill set, start a side hustle, or just explore a new passion, Skillshare is there to keep you learning and thriving. Get 2 months of Skillshare for just 99 cents. That's right, Skillshare is offering this past weekend listeners 2 months of unlimited access to over 20,000 classes for just 99 cents. To sign up, go to Skillshare.com/Theo. Again, go to Skillshare.com/Theo to start your 2 months now. That's Skillshare.com/Theo. And Skillshare has been a great supporter. And man, if you want specific things, you want to go there, I want to learn this. And I want to learn that because I need that education. Because when I look inside of myself, I'm missing elements. I'm juggling balls, but I don't have no balls. Well, you can go get your balls. You can go get your ideas. You can go get your facts and your specific information at Skillshare.com/Theo. All right, we had a lot of calls that came into this past weekend, this past episode, and I want to get to some of those right now. Thank you guys. As always, the hotline is 985-664-9503. I would love to know your thoughts on, what do you think that is that, female teachers, that we're seeing more of that these days? And why? What is that? Is that, is there something bigger going on, like at a macro level that we, or is it just a little bit of straight perving and now we have technology and, and the times are changing? Let me know what you think. Here's a couple calls that came in. Here we go. Thank you very much for calling.
Hey, Theo. My name is Luke.
Thank you for calling, Luke. Onward.
Just listening to your podcast, telling your story, man. Wanted to call in and tell you I'm an alcoholic. Been on the sober train for about 2 years now.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for calling. And congratulations on 2 years on the sober train. All aboard, bruh. This the Polar Express. It's cold as fuck on this bitch sometimes. But a lot of times it's very warm. Onward.
Little advice or little good advice I got from my sponsor early on. Started going to the gym about the same time I started going to AA. And I got some complaints talking about telling him, man, I don't like coming to these meetings. I don't feel like these people in here are doing it the right way. Yada, yada, yada. And he told me, he said, man, AA is just like the gym. Everybody in there ain't doing it the right way. Hell, you might not even be doing it the right way. But I came to figure out it was a good place for me to go. I wound up being better when I went. And that's all that mattered, man. So anyway, 2 years sober, about 60 pounds down in 2 years. So that's good, for the Mattress Olympics. A little bit better at that.
Dang, there you go, boy. Woo, cool hand Luke. Warm dick Luke. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for making me laugh right there. A little more. Onward.
Anyway, one question. I heard Rogan one time talking about how the best comics that's ever lived are pretty scarred on the inside. If you could go back and change and just have a normal life, but that meant it would fuck up your ability to be a great comedian, would you make that exchange? I would hope you wouldn't, but I didn't live through all that, so I just wondered how you felt about that. So, anyway, gang, you beautiful Kuyan.
Gang, brother. Merry Christmas to you, man. I appreciate the warm sentiment. And congratulations, man. You're right. It's like you keep going to this program, and no matter what, I just keep going. Last night I didn't want to go. When I got home, I didn't want to do anything, but I rolled over and checked out a meeting down the street. Would I trade, I think for a long time I probably would have, I think now, it's so funny. The other night I'm telling a story on stage about my brother and I being kids. And my brother and I do not have a lot of fun memories from being children together. We don't have memories of, playing together or enjoying each other's company that much. And it's sad, kind of. It's a little sad. It's okay. It's sad. I'm not getting into a dark, an emo hole here. But one thing I'm noticing now when I'm telling stories on stage, it's like I get to recreate. It's like I get to make something fun out of something that wasn't fun a long time ago. So it's almost like I get to reshape it now. And it's kind of cool for me because I know when my brother sees some of these materials and sees me do some of these new stories, inside of him, it's going to start to fill in a place in him where he, maybe that he feels, sadness or regret because we didn't have we didn't have a warm time. We didn't have a connection. So I feel grateful, that there's something inside of me that makes me able to fashion a story or something in enough of a fun way that it can be like a cement or like a caulk, C-A-U-L-K. And caulk, some people, you say caulk and they have, a couple ladies will open their mouths up and even one dude over there, who's working at the smoothie shop. But I'm saying caulk, something for carpenters. But, it's, that these stories now can almost, it's like it goes back in and fills it in a little bit. It's like, I I can kind of not recreate it, but just make it in a way where it's a little more fun. But I know that a lot of my family has struggled. If going back in time meant that it would make things easier for some of them, then yeah, I would give up. I would give up the fun that I have sometimes with some of the success that's happened, especially this year. Because it makes me, because then it's not just me, it's other people. If adjusting me would help them, then it would be hard for me to probably say no. But I appreciate you calling, man. I appreciate you thinking about it, and I just hope that staying sober has kept me in a place where I'm able to create better. And that in its own way has been helping me reshape and make a joy out of the past. So, but I'm grateful for your calling, man, and congratulations again, man. And good luck at the Mattress Olympics, dude. You know what I'm saying? That decathlon's a real sport. You found me? All right, let's take another call. Here we go.
Mr. Rat King. My name is Paulo. I've been clean off that sweet heroin for 18 years, and I really enjoy listening to your podcast.
Wow, thank you for calling, Paul. 18 years, man. That's incredible, dude. Jesus. That's a young adult. That's 18 years you've been clean off of heroin for a young adult. Say, find any 18-year-old, Marcus or, we had a black kid in our town, his name, Janitor Johnson. How in the fuck you gonna have a kid named him Janitor? But, they call him JJ, but that's Janitor Johnson. You got to give, at least call him something, Airline Pilot Johnson, or give the dude a little bit of chance. But anyway, yeah, so you're older than, you got the sobriety of you got an adult. You have a sober adult living inside you, an 18-year-old. Anyway, onward.
Enjoy listening to you talk about your ordeals with cocaine and all that. But I do got to say, you got to look into that tradition 11 where it talks about keeping anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. You got to find some way to talk about your recovery adventures without specifically naming AA or meetings or something. I was listening. You mentioned that. You like to break the rules and stuff, but the thing is though, this isn't it's not like you're at school and the teacher's telling you not to do something and you're being cool and rebellious by breaking the rules. The problem is that this is your program and your fellowship, and those traditions are there so that the fellowship survives.
Thank you for calling, man, and I appreciate you bringing this point up. And he's saying there's a tradition that says there's a tradition that says that, not you're supposed to, but the tradition says you're supposed to protect the anonymity of the program at press, radio, and film. So that is what he is referencing. And what is he's referencing that I am struggling to do here. Onward.
Because the problem with it is, if all these people listen to you, they get inspired, and they come to associate you with what recovery is, and they need recovery, let's say, and then it doesn't work out for you, you relapse or whatever, then they decide, well, recovery doesn't work because it didn't work for Theo.
Yeah, that's a really good point, man. And it's funny you say this because I was just thinking about this the other day. I was just thinking about, after I was telling that story this week, I was like, man, maybe I shouldn't have told it. I was feeling, just because, yeah, for that same reason. If people, if I don't stay in this program and then people look at the program and say it doesn't work. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, man. It is a good point, man. And it has been hard. I think my motivation to talk about it was because I talk about being sober, but I don't, I guess I wanted my listeners to know, or I wanted, the group here to know more why. you know, why I do that, you know, why I feel like I need to, or why the program or getting into sobriety helped for me. But you're right, man. I should have done it and not mention the program's name. And I think that that's something that I can do a better job of. You know, I feel a little bit selfish, I guess, even though I don't feel like my motivations came from a selfish place. But I do appreciate you bringing that up. Onward.
And so you put people at danger. You know, you put people in danger is the problem. It sounded like maybe you're just going to meetings but not doing steps with a sponsor. I'm not sure, but you talked a lot about meetings, but you didn't mention anything about steps. So, but if that's the case, you know, well, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you're not really you're not really doing the program if you're not doing the steps. So maybe look into that.
Well, that's a good point. You know, the program, you know, step work is the program. So yeah, if I'm not doing the steps, I'm not doing the steps. You know, and that's true. I mean, I've gotten through, you know, I've gotten up some of the steps a few times, man, but you know, haven't gotten to the stoop, you know, but I hope to. And, you know, I work with different sponsors and I've recently, you know, started working with a new guy. So we'll see. But I think that you're right in the sense that I could find other ways to talk about it. And I appreciate you bringing that point up because, you know, that program is a million times bigger than any one of us. And I probably could find better ways to be more respectful of that. You know, but thank you for bringing that up. But if you were in a program and you haven't gotten through the steps, you know, that doesn't mean that you can't still keep going back to the program. And you can still be sober and not have gotten through your step work. And I'm not saying that for myself. I'm just saying that in case there's anybody out there that needs to hear it. I'm a slow learner, you know, and something about me doesn't want to sometimes, you know, I don't want to do stuff sometimes. I don't want to do what other people want me to do, you know, but hopefully some of that, you know, I'll just continue to learn as I go, you know. But thanks for calling, brother. Onward. Let's take another call.
Hey, bro, this is Eddie from Lancaster.
Eddie from Lancaster, Pennsylvania where's that outside of, fuck, I don't know. I think that's Amish country. And they got a show now, Breaking Amish. And Hollywood's trying to fucking break up the Amish, bro. Get a fucking life. The Oscars, bro. Who gives a fuck, dude? I'd rather watch UFC fucking reruns. Onward.
PA, not California. Fuck that. But anyway, I heard dude Greg called in last show. I just want to say congratulations on 1 year sobriety. That's tremendous. That's fucking awesome. And then Theo, you were saying you said a couple times people telling you that you shouldn't talk about sobriety in a public forum or whatever. Man, fuck that, dude. Every other podcast is basically celebrities talking about all the shit they drank, how cool it is to smoke weed and do, you know, like, there's not a lot of, like, entertainment or support out there for guys trying to get off the wagon. So I think you should keep it up, dude. I think you are a fantastic voice for a lot of young men, especially because you got that charisma. You're like kind of alpha and shit. And I think a lot of tough guys out here need sort of permission to be honest with themselves about, you know, everything, all the kind of stuff you talk about. So keep it up, man. I love the show. And Greg, congratulations, man. That's tremendous. And get that hitter, please.
Get that hitter. Get that hitter. Get in there. Dude, well, thanks for calling. You know, I think that as you're talking, man, I'm thinking, that I think the main goal in talking about the sobriety and being sober was because I wanted people to know how I felt. You know, what made me get into being sober was how I felt, man. It wasn't about drugs and alcohol, but it was how I felt. And at some point I found myself using some drugs because I didn't have any way to feel. I wasn't feeling anything anymore that was good. And so when I would use drugs, it made me feel something. And so my main goal was really to iterate more how I was feeling, and maybe I shouldn't have focused on the program that much. I don't want this to become a show about sobriety, about that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of different facets and worlds to my life. But I think your call and the previous caller, it's like I do want to share, and I also could have probably been more respectful of the program as I did it. But I think in the end, I just wanted, if there's other dudes, young men out there, even women or lesbians, bruh. They got, how many lesbians hit me up on the low trying to get these haircut tips, man. A fantastical, just a real fantastical amount. But I don't want there to be young men out there who are feeling certain ways and don't know what's going on. I don't want those people to feel alone. And if I can not help, man, I'm not trying to be any kind of damn Sherpa, but I'm just trying to share some of what's going on with me, or what was going on with me and what is sometimes, because sometimes I hear people share and it helps me see what's going on with myself. But thank you for your call, man. And I'm going to try to do it when I can, and in ways that are probably more respectful. And also, I probably needed to hear that young man, the previous caller, tell me to get into my step work, man. So onward. Let's take another call. Here we go. 985-664-9503.
Theo, hello. This is Shannon Schubert.
Hey, Shannon Schubert. And Schubert sound like an ice cream. You know it, boy. Mm-hmm. Dang, get a couple scoops of Shannon. You know what I'm saying? Onward.
I had called a couple of days ago because I was so upset because your New Orleans show was sold out. Well, never say never, or don't take no for an answer is my message, because guess what? I'm so excited. I contacted the House of Blues, and I did this for you, just so I could go see you, me and my son. I bought a damn membership to the House of Blues. Don't know if I ever go back, but you never know. Anyway, so I bought a membership, and I've got 2 tickets to come see you. Woo! I'm so excited. I cannot wait. So I hope after the show that we get to meet you and take a picture with you. Anyway, I just wanted to call and let you know. Look forward to seeing you in New Orleans.
Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate that. I'm excited that you, that's a great call. I appreciate that. It made me feel good. You know what made me feel good? Because towards the end, I could tell how excited you were. And man, that made me feel good. I'm glad that you guys are coming. And it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. My family's coming. Not my mother, but my brother's coming out. My sister, her husband. My boy Dustin Poirier is supposed to be coming, dude. One of the next UFC champs. Who else, dude? Some of the guys from Bishop Gunt are coming down. We're gonna do a little after party right there in the foundation room, right next door. My buddy DJ Satchfield, one of my best friends from growing up. He's a newscaster turned DJ. That's the dark arts. You know it. And he's gonna be there. And yeah, I want people to come do your drinking afterwards. You can have a drink before, but just don't get, let's don't make it too rowdy during the show. I want people to enjoy the experience, and then we'll have fun afterwards. And, but I'm grateful that you're coming. You know what's funny? You remind me. Sorry, sometimes I get so amped up. You remind me they had I joined an alumni association one time when I was at UCLA. And when I was and I wasn't there as a student, I went to the gym. But to get a gym membership, you had to join the alumni association. An alumni association, it sounds like some kind of Ku Klux Klan shit, but it's not. It's just like a group of old people that really like to drink outside of the stadium. But anyhow, I had to join that, and when I joined it, I got a membership to the gym at UCLA, so I could use the gym down the street. The thing was this, if I had to do one event for them. So I chose this Special Olympic type of deal. So I'm there helping out one day, the Wooden Center on UCLA campus, and they got, and this, I was dabbling a little bit in the dark arts at the time. You might, if you tickle me hard enough in the front of my nose, a little bit of coke might fall out of it. And they had a dude in the bathroom. He's going in there. I've been talking to him at the event. Found out we both like to party. Next thing you know, we're in the bathroom. It's probably 4:30 in the afternoon, doing a little bit of, of coke, cocaine. And it's crazy, man, when you're doing, you're in one of the big handicap stalls with an actual handicapped person. This dude was in a wheelchair. He was in a wheelchair and we're in there doing coke and shit. And I started to feel a little bit bad, because he's in a wheelchair and I'm not. And anyway, other people were in the bathroom and the shit got a little bit weird. And so he went out. He went out of the stall. And I didn't know what to do. I'm still in the stall and people in the bathroom know I'm in there. And they're like, well, what in the fuck's going on? And I didn't know what to do. So I end up just sitting down on the ground. And like when I opened the stall door and kind of drug myself on the ground out of the stall and out the door into the hallway. And I guess, I was just fucked up at that point. And I'd done this kind of shit before. I got stuck in a house with a lady who didn't have any, she only had 2 appendages, her arms. She didn't have all 4 appendages. And I got stuck in a house with that lady. And I guess I just felt nervous. So I kind of drug myself out on the floor because I didn't want to, I guess I felt like I was showing off, with my legs. But anyway, I joined an alumni association one time to get a gym membership is what I'm trying to tell you. So thank you so much. Let's take another call. Onward.
Hey, Theo, this is Zach. I caught your show in D.C. last Saturday, the late show. Great fucking show. Just want to say thanks for coming to D.C.
Thanks for coming out to the show, Zach. Yeah, that was fun over there in D.C., man. That was wild. We did it fast and we did it right.
Yeah, I live in rural Virginia outside of Charlottesville, so it's a little bit of a drive. I'm not a huge fan of the district, but come to see you, though. And I just want to say it was awesome how you stuck around, met people, took pictures and shit. I thought that was really pretty awesome. You might even remember me. I think I did tell you that I was a PI. I listen to your podcast all the time because I'm in a car doing surveillance, driving all over Virginia.
Oh, yeah, you're a PI. I remember you. Dude, and I remember being young, they had, we had a dude, a PI, first of all, when you hear it, I remember being young, you hear private investigator. You think, oh, it's an animal. You think, oh, it's a gynecologist. Those are the first 2 things I think. But then we had a dude in the woods, this guy, Detective Mike, and everybody said that he was private investigator. Well, turned out he's just fucking homeless, bro. He's peeping Tom. And they used to have a lot more peeping Toms. You'd see them, comparing notes and fucking, sharing ladders and all of that kind of stuff sometime, down behind the AMP Superstore, down there off Jackson Avenue. But this was, a time when it was more popular, when people weren't doing as much social media. So peeping Tom was a good way to, see who's hot in the area. It was kind of like Tinder, but you had to have a ladder. And this man was in the woods all the time, and we're like, oh, dude, he's like, yeah, I'm a detective. I'm doing surveillance. Well, for fucking months, we think he's doing surveillance and shit, and turns out he's just a fucking homeless dude living in the woods, man. This dude, Detective Mike. And I guess I can quit calling him detective because he wasn't. He was shooting dope. All right, let's take another call. Onward.
Theo, first-time caller. Becoming a big fan over the past year. I love the podcast. I finished the Donnell Rollins episode.
Oh, yeah, Donnell Rollins. And Donnell, man, the funniest guy that I've ever seen or just talked to. Or even, dude, Donnell is so funny. He's so funny. Onward.
And it was really refreshing the way that the conversation involving culture and race was framed. You didn't really tiptoe around anything. He dropped some cold knowledge, especially about ignorance breeding racism, the difference between the two. And I just want to say you expressed thoughts and feelings I've had. I was the only white kid in my grade, in 6th or 7th grade. I went through that phase. And, you know, there's a difference between being aware and being discriminatory, and the fact that you're willing to admit that you have these questions, whereas other people might just bury it for fear of seeming like something they're not, meant a lot to me. And I just want to say, love the show. You motivate me. You want help keep my spirits high, and maybe one day I'll get to get a lick out of old Cinnamon Mike's palm if I'm just lucky enough.
Dude, and I'll say this, man, and that man was a friend of my dad's, and he passed, but I want to say that cinnamon was, he made it at the house. And that man, he put a little cinnamon on his palm, and he had the palm, warmest palm, too. I mean, he'd probably running a fever a little bit, but when you licked that cinnamon off, it was like having just a damn warm bun out the oven. But thank you for the call, man, and Donnell Rollins, you know, people say sometimes we don't have enough diverse episode. I've reached out to some of my favorite black artists, and a lot of them do not want to come on, or have just said, "Oh, I'm coming," and never fucking called back. You know, so you know, we've definitely made an effort, and I think we do have some diversity on here. I think we've done pretty good, and I don't like too much forced diversity, unless we're talking Mexican people in the NBA. How are you going to have half your fan base and is Mexican, and you don't have any? You got fucking 0 Mexicans in the NBA. You telling me you don't want to watch a 5'2" dude named Papa shoot it from half court every day, wearing a pair of fucking Dockers, bruh? Come on. But I think there's a lot of race stuff that's not talked about. I know I chime in about it a lot here and there. It was nice to have Donnell come on, because then you can talk about it with somebody. You know, I loved hearing him say that, you know, no more excuses, you know, because everybody needs to hear that message. You know, there's a lot of, like excuse stuff in America. There's a lot of excuse, especially the media. But the media doesn't help, man. The mainstream, the news, fuck them, bruh. They don't want the bad. I don't care what network you're watching. Fox, CNN, they're selling you what they think you want to see every time. You got to remember some of that. So I think, you know, I'm fortunate to have conversations with people that's that's different than me, but who are also, you know, smart and willing to discuss stuff. And I thought there were times where I wish I was been a little bit braver to share some of my real thoughts and fears. You know, it's, you know, I don't get to say a lot of times, like I get scared. A lot of black people scare me. You know, they because I had bad experiences growing up, getting beat up and threatened by black people constantly. And I don't get to say that. You know, it's like if you say that, it's instead of, and I don't say it from a place where like I want something bad to happen to them, but I do say it from a place where it's like, I know that other people feel this way or have had a similar experience. And why is that never discussed? You know, the mainstream a lot of times just wants to make white people look bad, especially poor white people. And I don't think they're doing a service to anybody by doing that. And I think that black people definitely need more opportunity. You know, in America, they need to be granted more opportunity. You have to give them opportunity for them to experience opportunity. But at the same time, I think a lot of black people rest on not wanting to. There's a lot of excuse culture that's been embedded in the black culture over time, you know, and in a lot of culture, I think we all need to point fingers at ourselves. And so those, I guess, are some of my thoughts. But beige power, man. I think the future's beige, and that's where we're going to end up. So we need to try and get there as happily as we can. And I love being able to talk with people like Donnell because, you know, he knows, and I know both of us, we know that each other have good hearts, and that we're imperfect, and that we can be wrong about stuff. You know, we can be wrong about stuff. You know, I wish that in a way we could all learn to be wrong about stuff together. I think that would help all of us. And also, what the fuck do I know, man? What the fuck do I know? You know, it's just my perspective of the world. There's billions of perspectives. You know, there's 350 million perspectives of America in America alone. So onward.
Hey, Theo, this is Pat from North Carolina.
But thanks for calling, brother. I appreciate your calling. I appreciate your sentiment, and I appreciate you listening. And, you know, I'm never going to get anything right in this podcast, this conversation. There's nothing to get right. You know, I'm just trying to be alive and be okay. Onward.
I just listened to your Monday podcast with you talking about your parents and not feeling loved, and I just want to give some insight. So there's this concept called attachment theory, and it's all about how we trust and bond with others. The way you learn to bond with others as a child will influence how we bond with others as an adult. And young kids who learn to trust caretakers they basically form a secure attachment. And if they don't, they form this thing called an insecure attachment.
Wow, that's interesting. I just looked it up. Attachment theory states that a strong emotional and physical attachment to at least one primary caregiver is critical to personal development. John Bowlby, I'm guessing named after the bowels, first coined the term as a result of his studies involving the development psychology of children from various backgrounds. That's interesting. A strong emotional and physical attachment to at least one primary caregiver is critical to personal development. I mean, I could believe that. Let's hear more from you. Thank you so much for calling, brother.
I suggest Googling it, checking it out. But basically, insecure attachments can lead us to do some wild things in a relationship, have trust issues, be clingy, you know, whatever.
Damn, brothers. Dude, I remember one time, you know, when I was young, I was in love with a girl. And man, she looked like a damn exotic just a damn. She looked like, remember that show Fire and Ice or whatever? No, what was it called? American Ninja Warriors. The original one. No, American Gladiators. And they had men and women on there, and they all looked like lesbians that were really on steroids or on Deca 30 or whatever. Or D-Ball 9000, you know? They had motherfuckers, they'd be on there crying and just having Test 200 just dripping out of their eye sockets. They were on all types of uppers and, steroids. And that show, American Gladiators, all the boys and girls all looked the same. They did so much steroids that they just had blonde hair. And then I think, and their tits turned into muscles, and they all moved to Florida. But I dated a girl in high school and college that was just stunning. And she looked real hot and pretty and awesome and good heart and big heart and, nice skin and nice hair and nice face, nice neck. I mean, she had a neck, bruh. She had a neck. I mean, they'd have, sometimes you'd even hear giraffes, 2 countries over fucking, you could hear them kind of leaning over, listening what she was up to because she had that type of neck. Beautiful, that beautiful top fucking piece. That fifth appendage, boy. That neck. And she, what was I talking about? Fuck, I don't know, man. But I'll say this, dude, that, when we broke up, man, I remember driving across the country and, hiding on her porch and petting somebody's cat that I didn't know. And so I definitely had some real attachment issues, Onward.
So check out this article by Psychology Today called How Your Attachment Style Impacts Your Relationships. Check it out and let me know what you think.
You got it, brother. Will do, man. And we'll put that link. Let's listen to the end of it one more time.
Your attachment style impacts your relationships.
How your attachment style impacts your relationships. Will do. We'll put the link to that at the top of the episode links in YouTube. But thank you so much, man. That attachment theory. I think I really have had some attachment issues. Onward.
Hey, Theo. This is Alex from LA. I just want to play devil's advocate after your Ron White conversation about mushrooms. You do have to remind some people that, drugs can still be dangerous. I did shrooms for the first time, and, I thought it was amazing. And it was amazing. It was mind-blowing, life-changing. Started doing it a little bit more. My third time around, we put in Jungle Book, the new one, And if you're on shrooms, those fucking animals, they're real. They're real for sure. And, the snake, Ka, he does that whole hypnosis thing, and he spun me out, and, I had like a full seizure, threw up, everything like that. When I came to, my girlfriend, she was on the phone with, the 911. She said she saw me die. Not she thought I died, but she saw me die.
Well, look, it sounds like your girlfriend's into some damn sorcery and shit if she's seeing you die and you're not dead. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's a bad relationship, but no matter what, I want a woman who sees me alive. No matter what. Even if she, I want even if I'm at the funeral, I want her to secretly know that I'm laying over there in a box, smoking a Juul or something, a creme brulee, Juul cartridge. Here's what I'm saying to that. Yeah, you might spin out. You're on mushrooms, brother. Okay? You're on mushrooms, man. That's the Lord's brain diuretic. That shit'll make you leak out the back a little of your brain. It kind of defrosts your brain and takes all the icicles out of you. And just lets your meats cool naturally inside of your head. And if you're looking at electric snakes, fuck yeah, dude. What do you expect? You out there, you out there on the Lord's caviar, that mushrooms, bruh. That snail butt or whatever it is, the Lord's caviar. And you fucking, you getting electric or watching electric snakes. And Jungle Book is a book. And you taking it in as a film, man. So out of the gate, you're doing a lot of stuff. You're doing a lot of different types of stuff. That seems unnatural. So yeah, I think mushrooms can be good for people because here's what I've noticed from mushrooms. And I'm not on mushrooms, but here's what I've noticed from mushrooms is they a lot of times can, say if your head is like a internet and you have a bunch of browsers open you didn't know about. It's like when you're looking at pornography, which I am 20 days clean of right now, boy. Bang, bang. So damn, boy, sometimes, I'm feeling lively. I'm starting to notice more eroticism in the air. They got these nipples you can get off the internet. You can put them on your butt, one on each butt cheek, and you can feel your own butt and pretend it's tits. And so the future is now. That's what I'm saying. Who knows what's next? Space travel? Who knows? When you got when you got titties in your pants, bro, that are your own. So it's your move, ladies, because we're making moves ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Your move, ladies. But you got to be careful, man. You can't be doing. If you're looking at electric snakes and you're spinning out, then that's. If you're looking at something called Jungle Book and it's a movie, then you're making choices you shouldn't be making, man. I'm thinking. Also, what the fuck do I know, bro? Onward.
Hey, Theo. It is Michael from Columbus, Ohio.
Hey, Michael. Thank you for calling, man. I'll be there at the end of February 6th and 7th, I think. And I'm looking forward to it. Onward.
The reason I'm calling is that for weeks and weeks now, something that you said to Jordan Peterson has been like rattling around in my head. And it's when you told him about how you and your mom had never laughed together. And I don't know. I've just been thinking about that for so long I figured I should just call and tell you what I was thinking.
Well, thank you for calling. I appreciate it. Yeah, I felt pretty honored to interview Mr. Jordan Peterson because he's, just so smart. Onward.
Basically, that it's not too late, and I had an idea for you. Maybe you could use this podcast as a way to sit down with her, like you sit down with comics and all these other people for an interview with them to talk. Why don't you bring the microphones back home for the holidays and just for fun, see if you could sit down with her and record, an hour with her, you guys just talking and shooting the breeze, reminiscing about old times. Maybe something good will come of it. I think it'd be great to do that with your brother too. I think people would love to hear it. But, if you record it and you decide you don't want to put it out, I think that would be fine too, but it might be a fun experiment for you. Anyway, I know you're coming to Columbus. Can't wait to see you, and I wish you all the best.
Man, thank you. That's a sweet message. and I thought about that. I think I would like to have my mother come in here and come on the podcast at some point. I want to make sure that, I'm in a place where I feel comfortable with that. And then I would have to make sure that my mother feels comfortable with that. And I appreciate your sentiment, because I think you're coming from a place where, I didn't realize that either till I said it, that my mother and I have never laughed together, and I didn't realize that until I'd said it, So, it's just crazy, man. This has been such a learning, man. I thought I was done learning when I was a kid, But thank you. And I have thought about having my brother on, and I can't decide. Maybe we'll do something in Baton Rouge. I won't see my mother during the holidays because she moved out to Arizona again. But at some point, and those are things that are in my mind that I would like to have them on. And also, I think about guests. I just want to have guests on that, like, people email me a lot about having just regular people on and stuff like that. And so I want to experiment with some of that in the new year. I want to do, I want to try some new stuff. So I appreciate you guys being here. And as always, give me your honest feedback, man. You can put it on the YouTube. I don't read that. But sometimes I will dip in there to the first few things in comment or something to see if anybody's having a tough time or, but our producer does. And so if you have constructive criticisms, as always, you can leave those. Thank you so much. Let's take one more call. Here we go.
Hey, what's up, Theo? It's Chris calling from Jersey. I just want to say I'm a pretty big fan. I enjoy your podcast. I enjoy what you're doing. I think you're one of the most funniest motherfuckers out here. Just wanted to say I got a little issue going on.
Thank you, Chris, for the nice words, man. I don't think I'm a good podcaster, but I think that I do think that I am a good comedian. And I say that just because I've done it for so long, and I really, I know that I want to bring something to you that you paid for that is a good product. And that's why I get act out. I act out if people are being wild in the crowd because there's too much work has gone into making it a fun evening, and making it a time that's enjoyable. Onward.
Me and my ex-girlfriend are going to go on a date. She said multiple times that there's no chance of us getting back together.
You might want to read up attachment theory, dude. Onward.
So I'm trying to get rid of that thought in my head of it ever happening. So I'm just curious if us going on a date or, just hanging out or trying to be friends is beneficial at all, or do you think just going cold turkey is the best way? But again, Theo, appreciate everything, man. You're a true comedian. You're hilarious, and just keep up the good work, man. Come out to the East Coast one of these days, bro. I'll definitely pull up, show some love.
Gang, gang, brother. Thank you for that, dude. Gang, gang. Yeah, the thing is this. If you go with the next man, dude, my ex that I rode out there, I tracked this girl down to South Carolina. Dude, I remember one time I jumped out of we ate some mushrooms and went to see String Cheese or somebody. I jumped out of a moving vehicle to see her in Tuscaloosa, and I wasn't a stunt person. I was just a fucking, a 24-year-old high on fucking dope. But, I remember one time I stayed up all night making her a little boat of me and her, like in a little French boat out of some construction paper and marbles and shit. And it got heavy because I used too many marbles. This ended up being like about a 3-pound boat. And I took that to her and we talked, and then we got in a fight outside of the car. And not a physical, just a verbal altercations. And she set it on top of the car when she was leaving her while we were talking, and she drove off, and the whole fucking boat fell off the top of this, little, Corsica. She was driving a little Corsica. And, and I'd spent all night doing that boat, making that little bitch with the little oars and all the French shit. But the thing is, what I'm saying is I showed up with a lot of expectations, and none of them were it's not that she didn't respect him. It's just that she couldn't meet me there. You know, I was still in love. I was still really struggling, and she couldn't be that for me. And so there was nothing that was going to come out good of that meeting. So I think you have to ask yourself, are you really ready for that? Or are you going to have a look in your eyes the whole time like you still want to get back together? Are you going to be trying to, you know, reach through that electric fence? You know what I'm saying, bro? That barbed wire, trying to get that little nudie? Or are you going to be able to be behaved and just be a friend? Because if you can't, I think maybe you just wait. Because you just don't want to get your own hopes up too much, you know? Because your hopes, they have to come down sometimes. If you lift them, sometimes they have to come down. So you just want to be, you want to monitor, you want to keep them up, but you don't want to push them way up too high sometimes, because you're going to have to also be there to hold them as they come down, and it can be sometimes kind of heavy on your spirit. But you know, it's tough, man. It's tough to still love somebody and to be separate from them. You know, and I'll go through stuff like that, and you know, it's really tough. You know, it's really, really, really tough, man. And I've been struggling with a lot of that in my own life. You know, being in love, you know, loving someone, but, you know, being separate. You know, and I don't know, man, more will be revealed, I think. You know? And the good thing is, though, now this is a great time of year to just be a friend. Maybe you get her a couple little hitters, you know? Maybe you put a jingle bell in a shotgun and shoot it into her cheek. Nope, that's a joke, bruh. That's a joke, dude. So that's just a joke, and that's something that happens to people's uncles who go looking in the gift closet. Man, let's get out of here on a high note, man. Thank you guys for the calls this week. I went through a lot of them. We tried the podcast on a Monday. That might be something I flirt with in the future. I feel amped up when I get home from being on the road. And so I've been coming in on Sunday. I'm trying to get the pod out on Sunday night. And man, it's hectic. And I want to make sure I give you guys the best product. But right now I'm going to jump off the line. Just remember, this is a good time of year to be supportive and to love somebody and to hug someone and to take care of yourself and to take care of others. You know, this is a really good time of year for that. You know, this is a good time of year, and I hope that I'm able to do stuff like that and just, you know, not think about myself and just be okay and have some fucking fun, you know? You feel me? Thank you to everybody that came out in Lexington. Bells will be ringing. We came in with a little bit of music. It was Christmas time. I'm going out with a little bit of Spirit of Christmas by Magnus Ringblom. Thank you guys so much. Be good to yourselves, man. You deserve it, and be good to someone else too. You know, even if they don't deserve it. You know, see what happens there. Onward. We have a young lady made us some beautiful, on the YouTube you can see them, beautiful new accoutrements at the front of each episode to represent the seasons, what's going on, and that was sweet of her. And what a year it's been. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this year with me. King and the Sting, we're taping the first episode, the trial episode tomorrow. We're still on trial, but we're excited. And that's it right now. Happy holidays. Hide a bell in your pants, bro. You feel me? The jingle and the jangle.